Did good. She said 10 in person and 17. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone start your quizzes, and the answers are on the back, but it's kind of an icebreaker and for me to introduce myself. The answers are right there. We're not tricking anybody. So here is a heart health quiz. But the answers are all right here.
We don't have to.
Oh, we don't have the back.
She didn't do the back? Okay. Then I guess I better tell you. Interesting.
They didn't want us to.
And more packets being made of the handout.
Okay, guess what? They don't have the answers. I think I'm gonna get started, if that's okay?
Yeah, so I can give us a quick little intro.
I think
Yeah, no problem. So anybody who's currently getting food, don't rush,
No,
take your
relax.
time. We're all gonna get to enjoy this lovely presentation. Lots of familiar faces, some new faces, I love that. But we have Lori Zarilli, she's one of the local Hannaford Dietitians. And what I love about Hannaford, fun fact, I did have a side gig there for a while, but they do a ton of community education. A lot of their labeling that she's gonna go into, all of their different food brands, a lot of this stuff is health-based. So she's really gonna give you a nice deep dive on things specific to Hannaford, in addition to overarching concepts that we need in general. So enjoy your food. There's gonna be bags that you can pick up after if you haven't taken one already, with some goodies, some coupons. But I will not take any more time away from Lori so that we can get through this. And if you have to leave, at 12:50, no rush. Hopefully we'll be wrapped up around then anyway. But otherwise,
And you have a nice, I provided several supporting handouts
yep,
with the information.
cool, all right.
Okay, first of all, again, my name's Lori, and I've been with Hannaford for 11 years. I've been a registered dietitian for what, for 40? So, anyway. And this is my fun job. And actually, I'm kind of on the other way around. I'm kind of semi-retired. So, but this is my fun stuff that I get to do. And so your goodie bag, this is awesome, by the way. It's an insulated bag. I keep it in my car. You go to the grocery store, you throw things in. I keep 2 of them. I love them. Stress balls, because stress is part of keeping your heart healthy. Stress management. A nice grocery list. If you have a way of, it's metallic, metal, magnetic. And you have, I'm going to explain Guiding Star to everybody. They have a coupon for that. Hannaford marks anything that's local. Local can be from Maine to here, FYI, okay? But you would be very surprised how many local items are really from Hannaford. Like Cutlery tea is local, it's made in Utica, not Utica, Canastota or something? It's like weird thing. And then this is just our snack pals. These are awesome. We started them for children, but we have just as many adults taking them for snacks, for lunch. It's portion controlled, awesome. I exercise these all the time. And then we have our heart healthy Hannaford info with everything else. Okay, so I also want to put a shout out. Cedars, we, as a dietitian program, there are 40 dietitians within Hannaford. And yes, I'm the only one in this part of New York State. There's like a million of them in Albany, etc. But one of our sponsors is Cedars. And I had done another program, so there's a bunch of these over there. I just want you to look at the date, please. Some of them expire February 24th. Some of them are March 7th. I don't want you to, always look at the date.
You'll be fine.
I know, but I wanted to make sure you knew that, you know what I mean? Because it's rude not to understand that. So, today we're going to talk about your heart, and I am going to use this to just keep me on track, and I have to hold it because I no longer can see it otherwise. Wonderful. Okay, that's the word. How are we, where did she go?
She went to get forks.
Okay, and nothing is working, whether I do it on her computer.
She'll be right back.
Okay, we can live without it for a moment, okay? So, Heart 101. Basically, today we are going to talk about, we're going to review the heart and its important items that go along with that. Basically, our labs. To understand your labs when you get them from the doctor too is really important. We're going to talk about the relationship of the types of fat, fiber. Heart disease and fiber are rarely spoken in the same sentence, but it's very important. And where that role of added sugar has come into play, as well as always the salt. Okay, we're going to address the food label, heart healthy, and identify different dietary fats and the impact they have on our heart. And I love this one, the anatomy of a grocery cart, of course. And actually, we're going to, it does have a separate thing for identifying fiber. So, Heart 101. We're going to talk about factors that, okay, basically heart disease is a combination of elevated blood lipids, and specifically the different cholesterols, as well as your blood pressure. Those really make up heart disease and what damages your heart. And, so other factors we need to take into consideration is BMI is a greater risk of heart disease with BMIs greater than 25. Understand that 37% of the adults in the United States have BMIs greater than 30. Lack of physical activity, smoking, excess alcohol intake, stress, and family history, and of course, diet. We really focus on taking care of total fat, not just the bad fat, which is saturated with trans, that sodium, that fiber increases, and limiting too many added sugars. And guys, I don't mind questions, just raise your hand, okay? This is very casual, okay? What I wanted to point out about alcohol, I'm gonna do it now because the only time I think alcohol is mentioned. A friend of mine, really high, elevated, all his cholesterol, his lipid panel was like, cool. So we got the fiber in, we cut down the fats, went down, that's a lot. Stopped alcohol for a month, had his lipid panel, whew, right down. Alcohol has a tremendous impact on your blood lipid panel, okay? When she comes back, could you tell her I can't get this going? Thank you. So, Heart 101 is next. Slide will say, living with risk factors for heart disease does not have to lead to advanced heart disease. Example of that is, my brother has been a marathon runner since we were in forever. We lived by the Erie Canal. He would run, I would ride my bike. I hate to run, but I will ride my bike forever. So he's predisposed. Our grandfather had heart disease, outrageous elevated lipids. My brother got those genes. My cholesterol is so low, it's like the opposite. And he finally couldn't keep up. He had to go on a statin. But he's always been physically active, watched his diet, and he stayed off statins until he was almost 60. And then finally, you get to some points in life where you need that medication, but it's minimum. So just because you have those predispositions doesn't mean you can't do anything about it. You can't control it, because you truly can, okay? So diet and exercise are really important. Oh, I want this next slide. Oh, wait, now we'll move it. Okay. Why are you going so fast? Okay. Oh. What is going on here? Sorry. Not one before this. There. Okay. Lipid panels. Everyone understand what a lipid panel is? When you go to the doctor, a lipid panel, they're going to do your triglycerides, all your LDL, total cholesterol, HDLs, LDLs, non-HDLs. So this lipid panel, it's really the whole round, starting with HDLs, high-density lipoproteins. Okay, that's the good stuff, and I don't know how to get that person off here. Do we have somebody who can help me with that in the back? No? Okay, I apologize. If anybody knows how to get me out of there, you don't need to look at me. It's the higher the better. Women, we need higher than men because we do not have the muscle mass of men. So our requirements are higher, and I'll get to that on the next slide. So basically, and it says here, HDLs, maintain good HDLs by eating food rich in healthy fats, minimal. What really, really, truly affects your high-density lipoprotein is exercise, okay? And you don't have to be a marathon runner. It's like what you're just walking, it's getting those arms going. You can ask exercise people how to get into your aerobic zone. But that is the most important way to improve your high-density lipoproteins. Your low-density lipoproteins are LDLs, L is for lousy. These lead to the, basically what they're doing is, this leads to a deposit of fat buildup, okay, in those arteries, and increases your risk for like heart attacks, stroke, and all over heart disease. So this leads, okay, I'll have to tell you, this is brand new, I haven't even looked at it. I just got it the other day and zipped it out. Every year they update them at the beginning of the year because Hannaford Dietitians, we have different sponsors, so they change all the slides. So I always get slides at little things. So leads to the fatty hair, not a problem. So basically, when you have too much LDLs, it is narrowing those arteries and those veins, and therefore you are not going to, plaque is going to build up. Plaque builds up, you're not going to be able to provide the blood, the oxygen that your heart needs to pump properly. So therefore, if you have, everyone understand what a heart attack is and what a stroke is? It's when the plaque in your arteries, plaque again is your bad cholesterol, it cuts off that blood flow, cuts off that oxygen flow. If it's to your heart, you have a heart attack. If it's in your head, your brain, you have a stroke. So neither one is very good. We would like to, for neither one of those to ever happen. The next slide, let's see if this is going to work. Magic touch. Okay. So when you get your lipid panel, for men and women, it's a little bit different, not much. Total cholesterol, you want to always keep it below 200. Non-HDLs is your total cholesterol, which is not just HDLs, LDLs. There's a lot of other little guys in there too, of different subdivisions of your cholesterol. So everything, that total cholesterol minus just that good cholesterol. That is what the non-HDL. That's a fairly, in the last 10, 20 years that they've been doing this one. And you want it less than 100, 130. And then your LDL, your low density lipoprotein, always under 100. And you want your HDL, men, they only need 40. Us women, we need more than 50. So, and again, what helps that is aerobic exercise, working out in your heart zone. And that I'm sure you are.
Question about that.
Yes,
When they have tests here for that.
yes, you do.
And usually for me, and I'm very fit, I do exercise a lot.
Yes.
And I eat right.
Mhm.
But usually my high cholesterol is not, my good cholesterol is better than my low cholesterol, my L.
It should be.
My LD is high though, it's higher than it's supposed to be, but they say because my other cholesterol is so high,
It balances out.
I don't understand that.
Because it balances out, it counteracts it. And it's that ratio they look at, and again, that's where genetics comes into play. Like for my brother, he couldn't keep everything in the right ratio. I mean, I didn't go into details with that, but the bottom line is the ratio is what we're looking at. So he has a lot of bad, but he also has a lot of good because he's a marathon runner. He's exercised forever. He's now, in his mid-60s, and he's still very physically active. And it has to do with that ratio.
But if the LDL causes plaque and everything, how can that disappear? That's-
Fiber, how and that's where the fiber comes into hand, eating healthy, exercise, and that balance. I know, it's a little bit like, yeah, it's that magic. Can we prevent it totally? No. How many people have we heard of runners having a heart attack? And everything can be great, but, so we do our best we can, but the body and everyone's body here is very, very individual. So we have to look at the whole picture. So they're not just looking at those two numbers, they're looking at everything. They're looking at your triglycerides, which is the total fat flowing in your blood. They're looking at all of the different cholesterols. So, talking about triglyceride. Triglyceride, again, is total fat. It's a combination of your saturated fat, unsaturated fat, trans fats, everything that's flowing in your blood. Gentlemen, when I was working for a private physician, they had their own lab in those years, and I was God. So they spun down his sample. The tube was yay big. More than half of it had yellow gunk in it, which was the triglyceride level. He had the most outrageous triglycerides I've ever seen. It was totally genetics and everything. But that's basically your triglycerides is that total fat in your blood. Do you need it? Actually, we need fat, okay? We have essential fatty acids that need to be utilized in our body. Without some fat, that doesn't happen. We have fat-soluble vitamins that really do need fat in order to be absorbed properly and metabolized properly. So yes, you can go down to a very low, but you still need it. And one thing I didn't say about cholesterol, our liver makes all of the cholesterol that our body needs. If we never consumed 1 drop of cholesterol, we'd be perfectly fine. Cholesterol is very important. Cholesterol is found in every single cell lining of every single one of our body cells. It is vital to keep us healthy at a cellular level, okay? So we do need these things, but it's the problem that we get too much of it, okay? So, but we do, and we need these. It also, triglycerides cushion our body organs, keep us cool, keep us warm. So it has major functions. That thing, can't live with it, you can't live without it. We're kind of we're at a balancing act. The other big thing with heart disease is high blood pressure. It's that force of circulating blood on the walls of the arteries. So the force of the heart to work harder, it makes our arteries stiffen and impacts negatively on the blood flow through the heart and through our entire body. We need to regulate sodium and potassium. Okay, some people who have heart disease are put on potassium supplements, and that is because potassium helps to ease that tension in those blood vessels, walls, so it helps to decrease blood pressure. It has many other functions as well. Salt, which is sodium chloride, okay, that sodium encourages fluid retention. When you have too much water, too much fluid in those arteries and veins, it causes them to stiffen. And again, if it's stiff, and you then have narrowing, it's going to decrease that blood flow and the oxygen to all of our vital organs and our heart. So they don't do well, and they atrophy, basically the best word I can say about that. Sodium, we need only 2,300 milligrams per day. That's max. If you have heart disease, the American Heart Association recommends only 1,500 milligrams per day. To give you a visualization, 1 level teaspoon, baking teaspoon, contains 2,400 milligrams of sodium. So that's how little our bodies need. A typical American diet, I think, is 3,400 milligrams per day. So, questions thus far? Okay. General guidelines, prevention, balance, that's what all those things say. It's learning how to balance everything out. I tell people they can eat everything their heart desires. It's just how much and how often you're going to consume it. And some things, if you can't control it, you shouldn't have it at all. You know, it's that whole balancing act. General guidelines. I did add into your packets a thing about the DASH diet, though I've read a few controversies, but I still think it's warranted. And it's mirrored very closely to the Mediterranean meal plan, and both of those are really extremely, have positive outcomes for heart disease and keeping your heart healthy overall. So there are two of them in there that give a little bit more detail about those diets. They focus on a lot of, in both Mediterranean, they both focus on fresh fruits and vegetables, unseasoned meats, unsalted spices, you know, things like that. And, you know, the Mediterranean, of course, is more, definitely, both of them add fish. So, but bottom line is seek lower sodium foods. And this is when we get to go to my little, here. So, oh, I didn't bring my frozen. Frozen vegetables, typically, be careful. You don't want to buy those with seasonings on them, sauces on them, because typically they're going to be a lot higher in sodium. So we can get low sodium or no sodium added canned items. People want taboo canned, ooh, can't have those. The way they are, you know, they're picked at the field, they're blanched, they're canned. It's nothing like when I was growing up. You know, they've had a bad rep. They're economical, they have least waste. Do still suggest you rinse them off, especially with your legumes, even though they say low sodium. You know, these work in a pinch. Yes, I'm the dietitian. 99% of what I cook are fresh. Okay, I didn't bring my fresh containers. I think we all would know what fresh vegetables would be. But you know, these, just be careful. You know, you want to, when it comes to soups, try and find those that have no salt added or low sodium, and look at the low sodium. One low sodium is not the same as the next soup that says low sodium. You honestly need to turn that label around. We'll get to that in a second. But I want you to be aware that, you know, you really need to be very, very cautious. And I thought I brought up a few things. These were not bad choices, whoever picked these out, okay? Your lunch snack things. I went across the sodium. Are they great? No, I would can the one, I don't know, baked Ruffles is too high for me, it's $2.20 per bag, and the Cheetos, a little high. But the rest of them are doable for a quick snack, and it's great that they're portion controlled. Now, for Hannaford, these are one of my favorites, and it came out of my cupboard, there's food in it. You know, here you have 7 chips, 65 milligrams of sodium, 2 grams of fiber, not bad, and totally, basically unsaturated fat. So let's move on. So, low sodium is what we're seeking. Do comparisons, like here, it's great. You can just look at these and compare and get the one with the lowest of sodium. And that's what I recommend what people do with soups. Pasta sauces are notoriously high in salt. Really take the time to, you know, look at those labels. Okay, next, always a colorful diet. You want those colors, you want those antioxidants. They are going to be positive. They are going to, you know, help to, not detoxify, they're going to decrease oxidative damages in your body. So the more fruits and vegetables, the better. Fiber, believe it or not, these have fiber. Some of these actually have fiber in them. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. So you really need to make sure that you get plenty of fiber. Did you guys know nuts have fiber in them? A little bit. Yeah, a little bit here, a little bit there. Okay? Fiber is working with cholesterol. Fiber is what is clinging to that bad cholesterol and getting it out of the body. Okay? Choosing low fat, choosing foods low in saturated fat to reduce the LDL. And your total triglyceride. No, take that back, just your LDL. So that means I didn't bring any meat with me. You want the 90% lean ground beef, 90% lean turkey, chicken. Understand that. It's fine to buy a steak, look for the least marbling. Do you know what I mean by marbling, that fat in there? It's okay to cook it with the fat on the outside, just don't eat it. It flavors it during cooking, cut it off. It's fine to cook your chicken with the skin on it, don't eat it after. Get rid of it and all the fat that's in the bottom of the pan, but it keeps the chicken moist and adds flavor. If you don't consume it, that's the best part. I know it's hard, I know. I can see your faces, definitely. You know, those are the things, and limiting how often you buy things like sausages and, you know, the really high-fat kielbasis. But again, look at the labels. Some of them, you might really surprise you. Some of them are better than others. Because, you know, this is who we are. We're accustomed to eating these foods. We just don't want them very often. Limiting, portion, controlling them. As well as your dairy group, understand anything that comes from an animal source has saturated fat. Saturated fat is the bad stuff that's going to create that, increase your LDLs, create that plaque. So dairy, we really recommend low-fat, non-fat. Oh, that's not fat, but the thing in my brain. Swiss cheese has the least amount of sodium, just to let you know that, okay? So backtrack there. Your Swiss cheeses have the least amount of sodium.
Versus feta is really high in sodium.
Outrageously high,
It's
yes.
like
And,
healthy
you know,
cheese.
you'll see that I did actually put cheese in here. And so when you do use cheese, try to use the ones that have a lot of full flavor, because you won't need as much of it to add flavor to your recipe, to your dish, okay? And try to use shredded, or take the chunk that's cheaper and shred it, because that also helps to spread it so that you're not using as much. So it's just these little tricks to keep that saturated fat down. Okay, let's go. Food label. First thing you're going to look at is your serving size, okay? And calories, because calories are important. I don't know, you know, so maybe we have to fit into whatever your calorie need is, and every single person in this room has their own. So understand food labels are based on 2,000 calories, a person who needs 2,000 calories. So total fat is 8 grams, it only has 1 gram of saturated fat, so it's only 5%. We really want to have saturated fat less than 5% of the daily value. Daily value is based on their 2,000 calories. We recommend 30% total fat per day. Of that, they're recommending that this food is 5%, they want 5%. It's typically 10%, 5 to 10%, okay? So 2,000 calories, total fat, 30% is 67 grams per day. You're also looking at cholesterol. Do you understand that the cholesterol in food doesn't reciprocate to the cholesterol in your blood? This is a whole big thing with the dairy industry, and, you know, eggs had a bad rap for many, many, many years. And now there are studies after studies that show that the cholesterol in eggs does not reflect the cholesterol in your blood. It has to do with total fat. Total fat, keeping your total fat down is so much more important than counting cholesterol. No, we don't want you eating shrimp 7 days a week, or, you know, certain things that are really high in cholesterol. Let's be smart. But overall, when we're trying to improve our heart, it's that total fat. And sodium. Again, sodium, we are trying to keep it under 2,300 milligrams per day is our golden rule. That has nothing to do with the calories at all. And carbohydrate, we're not getting that into that. We're not talking about diabetes today, but fiber. Okay, you need that fiber in your diet. That fiber, again, is going to help to rid the body of the bad cholesterol. And we need 21 to 38 grams of fiber per day. So start looking at what you're eating and the fiber intake. FYI, please listen to me. If you increase your fiber, please, please, please increase your liquid. If you do not, you will become constipated, you will become bloated, you will become so mad at me because it will not be a comfortable thing, okay? So increase fiber, increase your fluids. And now this added sugar. Does anybody know what this added sugar whole thing is about and why we are so concerned with added sugar, not the total? Your body doesn't need it. It does not provide any nutrient. It is no nutrient density whatsoever. Every time you consume calories, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from sugar, but many, many studies are showing that the typical American diet, we consume too many high sugar beverages, high sugar snacks, etc. But what we find, and this is not just sugar, it's anytime you eat more than what your body can use, you are going to gain weight. And it will be stored as fat. It will be stored as those triglycerides. And that is, where we're at with heart disease. Okay? But there's a big culprit here. We know from study after study that is showing when we consume food that are high in your added sugar is a concern. It says 20%. Basically, the recommendation is as little as possible. 0 would be great, which is pretty much impossible. Well, it all depends on who you are. Okay, so healthy fats are those monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. Those are the most important. I did not bring my oil. They're all open. I was like, wait, guys, olive oil is great, canola oil, avocado oil. I figured you guys can visualize this in your brain instead of me worrying about having them spilled. Using sprays, you can get olive oil sprays, so you use less of it when you fry an egg or different things. Something needs a little extra moisture, I just kind of use my spray and do that with it, okay? And we want these omega fats. We want the omega-3s, we want the omega-6s, because they are all known to help lower your cholesterol. So your omegas are essential. So we get them from walnuts, flaxseed, fatty fishes, vegetables, and more sources than you realize. Edamame, canola oil, soybeans, salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines, chia seeds, that's omega-3, omega-6, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, nuts, seeds, corn. So there are a lot of them in the healthy ones.
It's about butter or margarine. I know I've always heard that butter was better than margarine, but where would you fit butter into which fat?
Butter is a saturated fat. Margarines were terrible for many, many years because they were trans fats. Trans fats function the same as a saturated fat in your body. The new ones, very few of them that I've looked at have any trans fats in them. So they're made from soy, or they're made from canola oil or olive oil. So you're getting the unsaturated fat. Fat is fat though. 1 level teaspoon of margarine and 1 level teaspoon of butter is going to give you 45 calories.
In coconut oil?
Coconut oil is totally 100% a saturated fat, okay? And the plus of a coconut oil is the flavor. Typically, you could use less of it to encourage a nice flavor. But it is 100% saturated fat. It is one of the rare plant sources that is a saturated fat.
And on that topic, what about ghee? What are the benefits?
I should know more about that, but I don't, because I lived in Asia.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll look at my food label.
I will have to look. I haven't looked at it in ages, and when I was in Taiwan, it was never in English.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that was always
It's
interesting.
made out of, it's clarified butter.
It's clarified butter, it's butter.
So it's nice butter.
It's saturated fat, yes, that much I do know.
And it's just scooped the salad sauce.
It's just,
that's all.
yeah, it's a saturated thing, I did know that, it's saturated fat, but I don't know exactly how they're labeling that. I'm sure it is still a saturated fat, but coconut oil is definitely, they're all there. They're solid room temperature.
Okay.
When things are solid at room temperature, they are a saturated fat. And that's the other helpful hint there. Remember your avocados. You know, there's a big thing on avocados. And understand that they do have their health benefits. And I love this little thing. So if you ate a whole avocado, approximately 322 calories. Total fat, 29 grams of fat. Only 4 of them are saturated though. Fiber, 13 grams of fiber in one avocado. Not too many of us eat a whole avocado at a sitting. 12 milligrams of sodium, 4 grams of protein. Okay, so it's kind of a cool thing. I like using the avocado oil myself. I've been using that, and it does add some nice flavor to it. Avoid those saturated fats, fatty cuts of beef, pork, lamb. You know, I talked about the marbling, the skin, lard. I shimmy because my mother-in-law, I used to love these Christmas cookies until I found out they were made from lard. And then I could never put them in my mouth. About it. Did me in. So, trans fats, the same as a saturated fat. Today, our Crisco's and things like our margarines, they've taken the trans fats out of them. Where you are going to find them is your baked goods in the stores. That's predominantly where they are today. Oh, I want to go back to here. Remember, and it does have that coconut there, but also don't forget palm kernel, cocoa butter, also are saturated fat. Your whole milks, your cheeses, your sour cream, your ice cream. We want to, as much as possible, to have those in a low fat. Fiber, okay. This is for ages 19 to 50 on the top, and then people above 50. The reason it decreases is because your calories decrease. And it goes predominantly by calories. So if you are between 19 and 50, for women it's 25 to 28 grams per day. For men, 31 to 34. And then for both, after 50, it drops down, which I find really comical because it seems like I work with the elderly, and I am old. And it's just, as we get older, it seems like we need more fiber. So, but intuitively, as far as the recommendations, it does slim down just a little bit. So we really want to focus on, these are whole grain. Your quinoa, okay, whole grains. You know, you want the brown rices, you want whole grain to be your first ingredient in anything that you buy, your pastas, your breads, everything. You know, don't overcook your vegetables, fresh fruits have much more in it. I want to get to, I want to spend a couple minutes. Anatomy of a heart-healthy shopping, colorful, variety, heart-healthy snacks. Again, looking at things like hummus, things like, I didn't get into any of these, but like this is basically almost all unsaturated fat, high in protein.
What is it? What is it? What is it?
Chobani Complete, there's 20 grams of protein in here. After the age of 65, FYI, your protein needs actually increase. And most of us don't get an adequate amount of protein. It's typically recommended like an average of 20 to 25 grams per meal. And so this has probiotics in it and all that great stuff for gut health. So those are other things. For healthy snacks, you know, your Greek yogurt, 0 fat, put your own fresh fruit in it, awesome. These kind of things. We also have your 0 sugar, if you don't mind artificial sweeteners. These are great kind of things to have. We did our hummus, for our nice snacks with some nice vegetables, or even our whole grain chips. You actually, I'm going to explain this in a minute, but it actually earns a guiding star, if anybody knows that, and I'll explain it to you in 2 minutes. So, Gutsy, these are high in fiber, probiotics and prebiotics. It has typically 8 to 9 grams of fiber per one packet, typically average 80 calories. They do fill me up, I have to say. These are really kind of cool.
What is that? What are they?
Gutsy, basically, they're a variety. This one's apple, spinach, kiwi, and kale. They have like, I don't know, 8 different varieties of them. I feel like a little kid when I drink it because I feel funky weird. That's not found in the kids department, by the way. It is typically in produce with the all of your drinks, adult
What's the
drinks.
texture like?
Applesauce.
Oh.
Yeah, yes, so added sugar. So this one's 80 calories, has 9 grams of fiber in it. So, good way of getting your fiber in for our healthy heart. Okay? Make sure you're looking at things at added sugar as least as possible. Frozen fruits and vegetables are definitely economical. Great. You want your spices with no salt. It's better to add your own salt. So get onion powder, garlic powder. Again, you adding salt is so much less than you buying the seasonings with salt in them or buying foods that are already salted. And then we have like the whole grain wraps. Ziggy has non-fat yogurts, so all of these things. Quick review, because I want to get this. 1 to 2 servings of fruits and vegetables every meal. Control your portions, monitor it, measure it, keep track. I tell people, take a week or 2, measure how much that glass holds, measure how much that bowl holds. And then after that, you kind of get the idea, and you can start evaluating. Choose fiber-rich foods. Whole grain should always be the first ingredient. Drain and rinse canned goods, even when it says low sodium. Try going meatless once a week. Some days I have a whole week of meatless, but Adopt healthy habits. Plain, low-fat Greek yogurt, add your own fruit. Season dishes with herbs and spices instead of salt. Try to avoid things that say hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated on them. That's a big deal thing, because that means that it's a trans fat, okay? It's a saturated fat that's going in you. And now shop the Guiding Star, and that's what I want to spend a moment. You have this Guiding Star coupon, and you have a couple handouts that talk about the Guiding Star program. So in general, the Guiding Star program, how it works, 1, 2, or 3 stars. It's now changing from a man exercising to a green apple. PR says green apples are more accepted. Visually, we're healthy. Marketing's always fun when they get to come to our meetings, explain why they do things. So 1, 2, 3, good, better, best. So how we do this, it's an algorithm, and it looks at the number of vitamins, minerals, fiber, whole grains, and omega-3 fatty acids. And they add stars. They take stars away for saturated fat, trans fats, added sodium, added sugar, and artificial color. And then they put it in this algorithm and come up with 1, 2, 3. What I want to show you, which I'm sorry is not on the slide or anything, but there is an app called the Guiding Stars, okay? And it looks like this green apple, okay? It's free to download. With that app, you can go to any of the UPC codes on your food at home, in the grocery store. You take the app, take a picture, or you put the name in it. If it's in the Guiding Star library, it tells you everything about that food. It tells you every ingredient. It gives you the food label, nutrition label, and it tells you if it earned stars, how many, if it didn't, why it didn't, why it did. So it's really a kind of cool app. I know we're apped out these days, but when you're trying to select food, this is kind of a cool one. So So it's kind of like, and I love it. So you can go through your own kitchen, at home and evaluate yourself and what you have selected. And I want to spend 2 minutes now to go over the test. Okay. And this is just our shelf tags and what they look like, because if it's our food, it will have stars on it. Okay, so this has 1 star. This has stars. If you want to come up afterwards and look at them. So it helps people make a quick evaluation, 1, 2, 3, especially like in the canned goods. If you're trying to do a quick comparison, use the stars. The meat department is only our brand, and they are not on any shelf tags. They are only on the meat itself. So, any questions? Because I want to just go over the quiz, because I still remember you don't have the answers. We ready? Are there any questions, though? I did a lot of different things. You need to totally remember, limit your total fat, especially saturated fat. Focus on foods that are high in unsaturated fat. Include that fiber. Fiber is really important. And to minimize added sugar. So the first question, heart disease is the 2nd leading cause of death in the United States. That's actually false. It's the number 1 leading cause of death. How many American adults have at least one of the 3 key factors for heart disease? 47%, about half have 3, which is high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and smoking. Third question, how many heart attacks each year happen to people who have already had a heart attack? Only a quarter. I was really surprised. That one surprised me. And this one's important because most of you are women here. Men and women can have different heart attack symptoms. Why symptoms are more likely to happen to women than men? Which of these will happen more in women than men? The nauseous one, yes. Nausea, unexplained tiredness, and jaw pain. Women are more likely than men, in addition to all the other symptoms that are listed there, okay? Blank happens when plaque builds up in the arteries and limits how much blood can go to your heart. What's the disease? It's atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is when plaque builds up, that's the definition of it. So. And by making healthy choices, you can help lower your risk of heart disease. Which of these is not part of a healthy diet? We all know this one. Okay, I already talked about the alcohol right in the beginning. Alcohol has a major impact. Any questions? Just wanted to kind of like, fun thing to do. I hope you enjoy your goodie bag. If you ever have any questions, I am typically in Hannaford on Commercial Drive on Mondays. That's my day to do. Thank you.